Hi. So I was going to start this video about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. And right when I sat down to do it, my phone starts getting all these nonstop text messages. And I get a message from my sister-in-law in California telling me that she is currently with my nephew on lockdown because there's an active shooter in the mall in Century City, right next door to the store that they were in. So I'm just trying to process this insanity. Thank God she's safe. It does not appear that anyone was hurt. I don't know if the shooter was caught. The police came and just got them out of there. But between the horrific attack and loss in New Zealand and yesterday, there were these missiles that hit Tel Aviv that fortunately didn't hit, but that were fired at Tel Aviv and all this craziness. At first I thought, okay, I'm just not doing this video. Too much is going on. I've got to get in touch with everybody. And then I thought, no, just the opposite. I'm absolutely going to do this video because we need to be bringing in more light and more goodness and more positivity. And that's the only way to combat the insanity and the darkness when it's surrounding us. Jessica, hi. Joseph, Vera, yay. So what I want to focus on is we're starting a new book of the Torah this week. We're on Vayikra, which means and he called, and it begins with being called, that Moses is called by God and then instructed into, what is required in terms of the sacrifices. And it's really a very powerful message because the word Vayikra, and he called, which is both the name of the book of the Torah that we read and the name of this week's Torah portion, throughout the Torah, every single letter of the alphabet appears twice, once in a large form, like the Beit, the very first letter of the Torah in Bereshit, is large. It's larger than the rest of the letters, and then also in a small form. And in the word Vayikra, it's the small aleph, the very first letter of the alphabet. The aleph is in a small form, and it's in the word and he called. And I think it really teaches us something incredibly powerful and beautiful about humility and about connection. Aleph is numerically equivalent to 1. It's the very first letter, obviously, and it's the concept of being unified as one. And yet, in order to be one, we have to remove our ego. We have to let go of what differentiates us. We have to minimize, not let go necessarily, but minimize all the things that separate us and focus on what connects us. And there has to be that ability to kind of, reduce ourselves in that picture in order to sometimes connect to others. And just to define humility, one of my favorite phrases is that humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. So it's really this ability to think about others, to focus on others, to have empathy for others, to pay attention to others, to care about others, to hurt for others, and I think that's what we see. And unfortunately, it comes about always in tragedy, and we shouldn't have to wait for tragedy to be like, we are one, we are New Zealand, we are Boston, we are Tel Aviv, we are all these, we are all one people. And we need to be focusing on that, not just when we're facing negativity and when we're facing hostility or violence or terrorism or these horrible things that happen, but in all the times when we're not pushed up against the wall like that. It's, you just think about, I'm thinking about my sister-in-law right now in the mall. Like, nobody probably talks to each other in the store so much unless the salesperson's trying to help you. But you can be sure if you are hiding from a gunman next door, you've connected with everyone. You're holding everyone's hand. You are feeling for everyone and worried about everyone. And I just can't, I'm still processing my little nephew just sitting there with my sister-in-law. And, you know, and that's what we need. We need that small aleph and that ability to be called. And then it continues that, you know, it's specifically when we're being called to do something big, you know, when we could have our ego completely pumped up and we could feel so unbelievable. Like, yeah, you know, I rock, like God's calling me. He needs me doing something big here, you know, and that's specifically when he's saying, like, be humble, you know, keep it in check, not only because of our obligation in our own, you know, work in our own lives to have that humility, but if we're going to influence other people, if other people are going to connect, if we're going to have that ability to, you know, impart any kind of wisdom, knowledge, direction, whatever it may be, that's also going to come through humility, because nobody wants to be connecting to somebody's ego or having it be about them or their pride or, you know, their name, whatever it might be. So so I hope that kind of made sense. But you know, and then it continues about sacrifice, which is what it's really all about. That sacrifices need to come from us, that when we're committed to something and we're dedicated to, and we realize it's bigger than ourselves, we sacrifice for it. And we sacrifice by having it come from who we are at our core and being able to truly give to another. So just to wrap up, I want to take those ideas, hi honey, and really, you know, let's together in a unified way with the smallness of that aleph, you know, meaning that we've kind of been able to minimize our ego, and yet, of course, the greatness of our unity. We should combat the insanity happening around us and that darkness by shining light, by adding light. We do not fight darkness directly. We simply, you know, bring in the brightest light there is, and it will immediately and naturally dissipate. And we should be committed to working together as a whole, and you know, really for a common and unified goal. So with that, it should be a really peaceful, good, healthy, positive Shabbos, and all those in need of healing should just be blessed with immediate healing and comfort and support. Good Shabbos.